So, as we've just heard in our reading, we are called to go and share our faith with others, to show the love of Jesus to those we meet, and tell them about him and the hope that he brings. But I don't know about you, that doesn't always seem that easy, and could feel a little bit scary. So the question we're going to think about this morning is, what is it that stops us from sharing our faith with others? So if you're at home, you could talk to the person you are with, or maybe you could write down some thoughts if you're on your own, or you could have a chat to God about it. But those of you here that thought you were just going to sit there and look at my beautiful face this morning, that's not going to happen, because what we want you to do is talk to the people near you about why it's hard, what gets in the way, what stops us from sharing our faith. And you've probably got about 5 minutes to do that, and if you guys can talk to each other as well, that would be really good. Okay, off you go. And the question...
It's wonderful to see you all chatting away. I'm going to start to draw you back. It'd be lovely to hear from one or two people about what they were saying about how difficult it can be, what makes it difficult to share faith. So is there anybody who's willing to have a mic put beside them so they can share with us?
We talk about political correctness. Both my wife and I work in HR, and sometimes it's actually not easy to sort of flout our faith, because actually we've got to be more accepting of the diversity that we're working with.
Amazing. So what he was saying was that working in the area with which they work, there's that whole element of political correctness, and if they overtly share, then it could be kind of a bit of a HR dilemma, and maybe some of you have felt that as well. Anyone else? Yes.
Well,
Go on, Sue.
Embarrassment.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe, I work with a lot of young people, and actually maybe they are feeling that as well, that actually sharing that in front of people, walking with your big fish on your back, going, I love the Lord, might be a bit embarrassing. Or maybe two more.
There's Janie and Ian, so...
I agree with Susan about embarrassment. Many years ago, Susan and I went to Spring Harvest together, and Steve Chalk was there, and we were talking about exactly the same thing. And he said you should drip feed. You shouldn't go all out blazing.
Brilliant.
But if somebody asks you a question, you answer it, but you don't ask them a question back. You wait for the next one, and the next one will come.
That's amazing, thank you. And that also, I can go now, because I don't need to do my talk. No, I'm joking.
For me, I think there's something about busyness, and we can be very, very busy all the time. And that's less so about being too busy to have the conversation, but I think too busy to really notice when people are ready to have that conversation with you and will be receptive. Because sharing our faith is one thing, but sharing our faith at the right time with the right people is probably the most important thing.
We're going to have a video which will show us what can happen when we do step out with God. So we're going
My name is Leslie. I'm not a young man. I'm an old guy. It was my birthday on the 1st of June. I was 84. I left God, but God never left me. Well, I wasn't a bad guy before, but since then, an urge, if you like, an inner urge to look around, to do some good. These footsteps of faith which we take. Continue.
My name's Emma, 14 years old. We was at Friday youth group, and because there's youth club on Friday, and Nick gives about a 10-15 minute talk every week, and he told us a prayer, and he said, listen, if you want to ask Jesus to come into your life, close your eyes and just pray this prayer. And about 5 of us in the youth club just closed our eyes and really just finally asked Jesus to come into our lives. And when I went home, I've always knew Jesus was there, but then that was the night I finally thought I was understanding and connecting, not just talking the talk. I finally thought I was putting myself to use, thought I understood him. Beforehand, I'd feel like I was alone, get angry, do things without thinking, and make silly choices. Obviously, as I'm getting older, obviously there's a lot of decisions I have to face regarding myself, others, my hobbies, what I do outside my time. I'm a lot more free now, and so it's very helpful to have someone there so I'm not just on my own.
So here's a little story about how prayer really changed my life. I grew up in a Christian family, my parents were Christians. I used to know about God in my head, I used to hear about God in church, but nothing really ever connected with my heart to make me believe. When I was old enough, I completely sacked off church, and it just really wasn't relevant to me and just really wasn't something that I wanted to pursue. And this one night I ended up in a police station from being a naughty boy. I was there all weekend, and that was the first time where I really tried praying. And right there and then I experienced the presence of God like I've never experienced before. It was absolutely incredible. And right there and then I started my journey with God and started my journey as a Christian.
My faith journey started when I was very young. I've always believed in God, and at the age of 5 I prayed a prayer of commitment and became a Christian. And I've always gone to church, and even when I left home and went to university I carried on going to church. I have had a couple of faith wobbles on the way, once in my mid-teens and once in my late 20s, but actually both of these times it wasn't that I stopped believing in God, it was more that I was cross with God and I was giving him the silent treatment. Having always been a Christian, I've got no before and after experience to compare. There wasn't an exact moment it changed for me. And I really like C.S. Lewis's analogy when he writes about the faith journey being a bit like, say, a train journey from Paris to Berlin. Some people travel during the day and they know the exact moment that they cross over the border. But some people travel at night and they don't know the exact moment. And that's okay, it doesn't matter. What's important is the destination, where they've arrived.
Okay, so we've already looked at so much this morning. We started by giving Sally a dilemma as to whether to share the chocolate eggs or not. And there were some very happy people that were glad that she did. I wonder if we would have shared them. Come on, be honest. Who thinks they'd have kept the 12 eggs to themselves? Thank you, Matthew Benji. Honesty is good, right? Cool. And so that's what we looked at next. We looked at what if the eggs became our faith? Would we share them like Jesus tells us to when he says in Matthew, "Then Jesus came to them and said, 'All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you.'" We then realized that what he is asking can be a bit scary, but we were able to share those feelings with each other, and if we listen to the next bit, the Great Commission, Jesus says, "And surely I am with you to the very end of the age." Jesus doesn't leave us on our own. He goes with us. He knows us. So he knows the way that we can share our faith out of the personality we've been given. The lady in the video was actually going to say, she said she always felt kind of God was with her. She said, like, if you went from a train to Belgium to Germany, some of you would go at night and not realise that you got there, and some of you would know the exact moment. And that's a little bit like our faith. Some of us have been journeying for a long time and didn't really know when we had that moment, but we know that God was with us. And some of us have had a flash of light. I don't know if a flash of light looks like that, but... So it's encouraging that the stories are different. Because what if we believed that sharing our faith just meant acknowledging our story and how we came to faith, and then just sharing out of who God made us? And maybe you're somebody who can share bold and bright and loud, but maybe you're someone who shares gently and quietly. And that's okay. Because as you have a story, God will use you to share in someone else's story. which leads a little bit to a story of someone very special to me, who shared their story with unconditional love of Jesus and who brought me to faith. I didn't grow up in a church background. We'd go for Christmas, but that was about it. But you see, when I was little, I had this best friend who I adored, my nan. You should be able to see a picture of her now. That's me and my nan. That is not a headband, that is actually underwear that I put on her head. Yeah, I know. That's how funny it was. And it's actually really cool because it was her birthday the other day, so it's quite nice that we're doing this today. So you can see that Nan and I had a lot of fun together. My Nan had a quiet and gentle faith. She went to church when she was young. She actually went twice because she used to go to the Baptist church, get her little stickers in her book, and then go over to the Church of England and get her stickers in her book because you'd get a prize. So she got the most stickers. Yeah, you see where I get it from now, right? Yeah. So yeah, my Nan, when she was older, my grandpa quite liked his dinner at a certain time on a Sunday. So she didn't go to church as much. But they did pray every night when we were growing up. And we knew that. When I was 18, I went through quite a rough time in my life and started asking questions about God. My Nan was there to encourage me, answer my questions, and reassure me of God's love and hers. As our journey went on, we got to share faith more and more, going to church together, praying, singing, sharing the love and life with God and each other. And when my Nan was in hospital before she died, I was able to read our favourite psalm, Psalm 139. As you can see, not only did Nan share her faith story, but our faith stories interconnected and became part of each other's. What a blessing. So before we finish and move on to our reflection, I invite you to close your eyes. Who was it who shared the story of Jesus with you? What happened? How did it change your life? And friends, what happens next? Who are you going to share your story with? Okay, you can keep your eyes closed if you want to while I explain the next bit. If you want to open them, then that's absolutely fine. Because in a second, we're going to invite you to reflect on all you've heard and the challenge we have all been given to go and share our faith this morning. You will each have a post-it note or pen and paper at home, and as the music plays, we invite you to write the name of the person or people that shared their story of faith with you. Spend some time thanking God for them. You can write initials if you don't want to share that out, that's fine. And then draw or write your name on the post-it note as well. Be thankful that God chose you. And he wants to use you. Ask him to help you with the next bit. Where is he asking you to share? Who is he asking you to share your story with? Draw or write that person on your post-it note. And then we'll move the cross, and then come and stick your post-it note. You see where the arrows are? So if you stick them on the bottom of the arrows, because they represent the love of God going out to the very ends of the earth. Yeah, this is your time with God now.
Okay, good to see lots of you here. It's the 5th Sunday of Lent. Next week is Palm Sunday, and there'll be Communion's at both 9 and 10:45 as we mark the beginning of Holy Week. I certainly... Is there Surge?
So we're meeting at Whitewaters,
Right.
and then we're going to
Come back. So Surge are meeting at Whitewaters. Ignite, I know, are going to be meeting here in church and making palms. So then Holy Week. There is Compline at 8 o'clock on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. The Wednesday one will be sung. It starts at 8, but from 7:30 the church will be quiet for people just to come in and spend some time with God as we journey that week. At 8 o'clock on the Thursday, Maundy Thursday, there'll be a communion service when we remember the Last Supper, and we go into a time of watch as we then move into Good Friday. Good Friday, there's going to be some children's stuff at 11 o'clock here at church. At 12:15, there's a walk of witness, starts at St Anne's, comes through the village to St Mary's, and then we've got a service at 1 o'clock that's readings and reflections. And then Easter Day starts at 6 o'clock. The dawn vigil here, and we light the fire outside, we bring the new light into church, we renew baptismal vows, and then celebrate communion on that first day of resurrection. So it's a wonderful service to come to if you can be up for that. Otherwise, there'll be 9 o'clock and 10:45 as well. All of that was on your update. It's also on an A5 little sheet at the back if you want that. We're hoping to have breakfast at the 6 o'clock service. If anybody could help Sally to get that sort of organised, can you have a word with her? Then what else is happening? Next Saturday morning there's a churchyard tidy up. Next Sunday afternoon, there's a walk at 2:30, Michael? 2:30. A walk, so if you want to join in with that. You'll have seen on the update, David Blackmore's done a lovely pen and ink drawing of the church, which he's selling for £10, and the money's going to the DEC Ukraine appeal. David's not able to be here today, but they are available in the shop if you want one of those. And the other thing looking forward is that we'd like to be able, on the 5th of June, which is the Sunday of the Platinum Jubilee weekend, to have afternoon teas here outside, I hope, and then to have a Songs of Praise. For that to happen, we need people to pull together, to be making cakes and scones, and actually be around. So please be having a think if you're going to be around that day. We'll put a notice up. But if you want to come and say to myself or to Jackie that you can help with that, I think it'd be really good that we all join together for that weekend. I think that is all. No, I know there was one more. We won't have coffee, I'm afraid, today because nobody's volunteered to make it. So please, if you're coming regularly to this service and think that even just once, I don't know, every month, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, you could make coffee. It's not difficult. Again, could you perhaps come and have a word with me or with Jackie, and we'll get a rota going, because it's lovely to be able to stay and chat. Please do stay and chat, even if you can't have a nice mug of coffee in your hand. Yeah, it'd be great if we could have that more often.